Historically, the U.S. Army has made good use of operational analysis, concepts, wargaming, and experimentation to maintain its fighting edge. And so it does today. Facing a rapidly changing, complex environment and recently promulgated U.S. security strategy and its wide range of missions, the United States Army's 2012 campaign of learning provided an intellectually rigorous examination of current and emerging challenges faced by the Army as it prepares for a complex, unpredictable, and volatile future environment. The campaign integrates the Army's key learning venues to study trends, challenge assumptions, explore ideas, and develop new concepts necessary to prevent, shape, and win. This year's campaign of learning studied the Army's preparation for a complex and ambiguous future. The campaign comprised 5 key areas of complementary effort. These events and activities took place throughout the year, leading to insights and implications for the Army as part of the Joint Force. Studies in science and technology developments provided the foundation for the rest of the campaign of learning. Post-event analysis informed modernization of the Army of 2020 and beyond. The Unified Quest Future Study Plan provides a greenhouse of ideas that brings the right people together from across the Army, our sister services, joint organizations and multinational partners, U.S. agencies, academia, and think tanks to develop ideas and concepts critical to the Army's future. These outcomes inform strategic guidance, Army programs and investments, and Army Chief of Staff initiatives. Key areas examined this year include shaping the operating environment, integration of special operations and conventional forces, crisis response, operations to overcome enemy anti-access and area denial strategies, countering the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, the enduring human nature of conflict, and the Army's ability to fully leverage cyber and space operations. Simulation-supported Army and joint experimentation tests concepts and capabilities to refine and validate them so they can be transitioned into tangible programs. Key areas examined this year included power projection, the imperative to gain and maintain operational access, operational level mission command, and reconnaissance and surveillance capabilities. The objective is to refine, validate, and transition Army and joint concepts to capabilities. Live experimentation provides a unique environment for units, soldiers, industry and program managers to evaluate systems and capabilities through field testing to ensure the right solutions are delivered to the force. Other campaign of learning activities advance joint, sister service, and other Army ideas to make certain the Army is nested with the rest of the joint force. As a result of this integrated effort, key strategic, operational, institutional, and investment insights emerged from across the campaign, with implications for the Army of 2020 and the Joint Force. Strategic insights focused on the complex nature of the future operating environment, the utility of shaping by Army forces, and the imperative of time. Studies, intelligence analysis, seminars, and war games established that the speed, quantity, and reach of interaction by multiple state and non-state actors with wider access to militarily useful means will fuel unpredictability, complexity, and disorder. Trends offer potential adversaries the opportunity to achieve periods of limited advantage. U.S. Army forces proved indispensable to joint responses to the challenges posed by these converging trends and were vital to resolving likely crisis scenarios. Shaping activities by regionally aligned Army forces develops the necessary expertise, reinforces stabilizing presence, helps build partners and capabilities, reassures allies, and helps avoid miscalculation by rivals. With decreasing forward presence, regional alignment contributes to operational preparation and intelligence baselines and helps build relationships based on trust and mutual interest with the predominantly Army forces in the strategically important regions of the Pacific and the Middle East. This improves access in the region and crisis support, reducing risk to joint and Army forces and their missions. Building partners, as well as their capacity, enables them to stabilize their regions while providing potential options in times of crisis to the joint force for operational access, basing, overflight, and other support. With access, routine shaping activities by Army and other U.S. forces increase stability in key regions and contribute to deterrence. However, while this stabilizing presence is unlikely to assure the internal stability of the closed societies of many of our potential adversaries, This presence was assessed to be important in regional access and support in time of crisis. The Army must be able to respond rapidly to provide our national leaders with more robust options to counter proliferation, limit humanitarian crises, and prevent atrocities, as well as deny early advantage to our adversaries. The speed, precision, and effectiveness of any U.S. response depend on the degree of knowledge we possess and the regional access we have. Achieving necessary levels of knowledge and access require long lead times to prepare intelligence and cyber baselines and establish the relationships that assure access. Operational level insights from the campaign focused on challenges to gaining access, the human nature of future conflict, and the challenges of operating in the cyber domain. Persistent access across key regions and strategic and operational mobility were key to maintaining the momentum needed to gain advantage over our adversaries. However, achieving that momentum was challenged by the availability of both military and commercial deployment assets. We can expect our entry to be challenged by the enemy. Countering their efforts will require the full range of joint capabilities. Long-term shaping was seen as key to building relationships in key regions to support access in times of crisis. Enemy challenges to U.S. deployment include both anti-access and area denial strategies. As part of the joint force, the Army must reduce the risk to projecting forces posed by these enemy strategies with new operational approaches such as multiple offset entry operations. This approach provided our forces tactical advantages that were rapidly diminished by our continued and predictable reliance on ports and airfields and declining deployment assets. Understanding and influencing the decision-making and behavior of populations, their government and militaries, was consistently critical to achieving our operational objectives. Ground forces operating in and around populations are uniquely able to effect that change. As noted military historian Martin Van Creveld observed, the enemy resembles us. Therefore, he needs to be approached not as an assembly of targets to be destroyed one by one, but as a living, intelligent entity capable of acting and reacting. Doctrine and training must reinforce the importance of the human context and ensure that joint force plans, preparation, and execution of future military operations fully account for the full range of human factors to achieve strategic outcomes. Cyberspace is an increasingly key area of operations, yet cyber policy restrictions and limited capabilities were assessed to inhibit critical intelligence, exploitation, and attack opportunities. As well, our ability to exploit isolated enemy networks required land forces to maneuver just to gain access. Commanders will require freedom of action to maneuver in all domains, including in cyberspace. The convergence of trends in the operational environment, emerging adversary strategies like anti-access and area denial, cyber operations, periods of enemy advantage, and crisis response requirements will confront the joint force, and particularly the Army, with a very different fight from what we have faced over the past decade. Nevertheless, mobility, firepower, and protection, and combined arms operations will remain essential to our success. Insights that can be addressed institutionally by the Army centered on special operations and conventional force integration, force generation, soldier performance, and mission command. Integrated special operations and conventional forces contributed to key missions. Our interoperability will be enhanced through doctrine, professional military education, and training efforts that lock in the lessons of the past decade, enhance the synergy of these forces, and better enable future joint operations. Analysis of war games and experiments revealed worldwide demand beyond specific contingencies. This insight highlights demand for land forces that exceeds currently assumed future levels of commitment. Maintaining the Army National Guard and Reserve as an operational vice strategic reserve improves Army readiness and provides the depth, breadth, and resilience unique to the Army that is vital to sustaining momentum once committed. Similarly, shaping operations by our reserves benefit these units as well as our theater commands. The complexity of the operational environment, the emerging character of future conflict, and new operational methods including offset, distributed joint operations, and intuitive command networks at lower levels will place a greater premium on the military and social competence of our leaders and soldiers. Raising their physical and cognitive excellence will be vital to gaining advantage while maximizing our investment in them. Fulfilling Combined Joint Task Force, Land Component Command, and set the theater roles, and integrating multiple missions and functions will require several robust mission command headquarters augmented by joint and Army enablers. Areas that inform key investment decisions include power projection, countering proliferation, and science and technology. Military and commercial lift investment trends continue to decline. Army and joint trends leave the Army challenged for crisis deployment and predictably reliant on ports and airfields. As the Army becomes increasingly based in the U.S., regional alignment and rotational presence by Army units will require forward-positioned equipment sets to support shaping activities. Sea basing enabled expeditionary joint and Army operations. Currently programmed, though limited, capabilities of this power projection concept demonstrated their importance to entry operations and littoral maneuver, helped mitigate logistics challenges, and reduced reliance on ports. While promising, joint sea basing capabilities that enable the Army are not yet resourced, and joint sea lift is still not fully interoperable. National security leaders cite nuclear weapons falling into the wrong hands as one of the great dangers we face. Our ability to thwart this challenge of state-scale proliferation will require Army forces to resolve. However, accomplishing this mission is impeded by denied access to those closed states and national-level gaps in our ability to locate, track, exploit, and control material, data, experts, and arms. Resolving these disparities requires a concerted level of effort on a scale similar to countering IED over the last decade. Insights from studies to live experiments highlight the need for continued science and technology investment in new training systems, mission command networks, reduction in power and energy demand, soldier performance, cyber tools, and, importantly, reducing the enemy's ability to surprise our units. The insights of the Army's 2012 campaign of learning conclude that ready, robust, responsive, and regionally engaged Army forces are best postured to prevent and resolve the challenges of an emerging operational environment characterized by unpredictability, complexity, and disorder, including the collapse of nuclear-armed nations, destabilizing conflict in geopolitically vital regions, and humanitarian crises. As a result, the Army must continue to plan for, invest in, and employ the capabilities necessary to prevent, shape, and win.